Let you know, we are now live, exclusive interview, Lanskys Corner, Rob Kenner in the building, New York Times bestseller, uh, biographer of Tupac Shakur bestseller, Nipsey Hussle bestseller, a Biggie bestseller. He's in the building. He's written for New York Times. He's written for Complex, Pigeons and Planes, uh, world renowned. And we're happy to have him. Oh, Vibe, how could I forget that? Co-founder of Vibe, 1992, 19 years of Vibe, over there with doing this thing. So we're glad to have you on Lanskys Corner, and appreciate you coming through.
Don't soup me up, Lansky. I have a strong bullshit detector, but you didn't tell any lies, so we're good. We're good.
Yeah, nah. I'm not here to. We're not here to lie to the people, man. I got to do my research. If you're gonna give me the time to come through on the show, you know what I'm saying? That's the respect thing. It's a respect thing. I can't ask you to come on the show and just not know about your history. So yeah, man, what's going on with you, Rob? Man, you got a bestseller out right now. The Marathon Don't Stop. It's in the background. I have my copy right here. Hold on. My copy right here. Everybody go out and get their copy as well. You know what I'm saying? What's going on with you, man? We was talking. I was telling you had car issues before the show. You was telling me, what's going on with you.
I'm so happy I don't have a car in my life right now. Car is nothing but headaches. But yeah, I'm in New York City, so public transportation and Uber do the trick most of the time. Today's reading is Friday. It's Memorial Day weekend.
Yes,
Rest in peace to all those who lost their lives, over the years. We don't limit the memorial to, armed forces. We just remembering those that's not here today. I appreciate Lanskys Corner because you put up a 60-minute video of yourself reading a book.
Yes.
Any book. It happened to be The Marathon Don't Stop, but just that action that you did on that is brilliant to me because it's counterintuitive. Most people say make the video short and lots of action and grab their attention and dumb it down. And you just said, I'm reading this book. If you want to maybe catch the wave. But anyway, today is a Good Friday.
Okay.
It happens to be, you mentioned the fact that this book actually cracked the bestseller list. And as Faye would have it, I got a buzz on my buzzer, and this came in the mail today. So I'm busting it out for you.
Okay.
Lanskys Corner. There we are.
Exclusive. Exclusive.
Yeah, so
Lanskys Corner footage. I appreciate you, Rob. That's big right there. Congratulations.
It's big for me. It's big for me because the other names on there include like Barack Obama and Bill Gates and
yes, I know. We're gonna get into all that. I know you've covered from Tupac to Barack Obama, and I'm sure you have tons of other cultural people you've interviewed. But that's dope, man. Congratulations. The book is great. I love the book. I'm only on page 105. Like you said, you got the BS detector. I'm not gonna act like I read the whole thing yet, but I'm on page 105, getting through. Beautifully written. You break down the history of LA and certain things of gang culture, of where Nipsey came from. I'm just getting up to the part where he just met Dex.
Oh.
He just met Dex or whatever, and they just started, clicking and getting things going. So, it's beautifully written, and I'm glad I purchased it. I'm glad it's right next to my Bible right now. I keep it next to the Bible because I'm still reading it, so I keep it next to my Bible. So, it's definitely a good read. But let's talk about it. You met Nipsey, it says like 10, 12 years ago? How long ago did you meet him?
It was 2009. It was the last year of Vibe's first life as a print publication.
Okay.
So we were in the offices down on Wall Street, having relocated. This was after the financial meltdown of 2008, 2009. So real estate on Wall Street was very cheap at that time. And as a rap magazine, we were under a lot of pressure. The whole publishing industry was imploding because of the financial meltdown, because people on Wall Street were playing games with people's life savings and, ran a lot of games. You should watch. What was it? The Big Short. Have you seen that film? The Big Short.
Was that my boy from The Office or?
No, this is a doc. It's
no,
Big Short is scripted. It might have been. I don't know if it was the people from The Office. Big Short is it basically Wall Street people were playing games with everyone's life savings. And
Okay.
you know, there's a phrase in the book, there's a whole chapter in The Marathon Don't Stop where it says too big to fail.
Yes.
Right? And that was a phrase that was used to defend these Wall Street companies that played ridiculous games that they knew were losing games with people's life savings and caused a lot of irresponsible, did a lot of irresponsible things, caused a lot of irreparable damage. A lot of businesses went out of business. A lot of families lost their homes. And,
yeah, lost homes. I remember. That was a crazy time.
Yeah, so it was a crazy time. And, but in the book, I'm describing Nip Hussle as too big to fail. His impact in his community was too big for people to even imagine him being taken out of the equation. He was a foundation of his community, the things that he was doing, the businesses that he was opening, the inspiration and guidance and demonstration, not just conversation, but demonstration that he was providing for people, and counseling them to change their lives and giving them specific options and opportunities they might not have had. So Nip Hussle was also too big to fail. And he used the phrase too big to fail in a campaign that he was doing at Vector 90. You might have read mention of it earlier in the book because it's like in the intro and stuff.
Yeah.
But later you'll read more about Vector 90. But Vector 90 was a science, technology, engineering, and mathematics academy that he set up in his neighborhood, and also like a shared workspace like WeWork. So entrepreneurial-minded people would have a place to go and network and just get work done and be around other progressive people. And you could also volunteer to teach science, math, technology to kids and get free office space. So his thought was that his community was too big to fail, and that, the fact that all the jobs of the future were going to be in the tech and engineering area.
Not to cut you off, but he had one of the first smartphone what was the store? iStores?
It was a smart store.
Okay.
So, yeah, the Marathon Clothing Store was the first smart store where he integrated, like, you could get the Marathon Clothing app and scan the tag on any t-shirt, hat, any merch in the building, and exclusive content would come out on your phone or on a wall. It was just a thing that even like the NBA store didn't have at the time that the Marathon Clothing Store opened up. And that's just where Nipsey Hussle's mind was. He was a student who could build his own computers from parts.
Yeah, that's what I read. I was reading that earlier, that his brother Black Sam was telling him to get the parts out the room because he liked the room nice and neat. And Nipsey actually made the computer. He was the kid who made the computer. He built his own computer. So
yeah. Out of love of hip hop, by the way, motivated largely by the desire to record his voice over beats. Like, he just wanted that studio. Like, a lot of his motivation was he just saw himself as a rap star from a young age.
He talks about it when Crisscross comes out.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to give too much away in the book because, we want people to go out there and buy it, of course, which is, it's doing great. But, he talks about that in the book about from a younger age, he thought he was going to be like a young rap, celebrity and stuff like that.
Yep. So, and he also saw it was an opportunity. Like, it was not just the seeking fame, but it was like a way to better his life. He saw that you could change your life. There were people in, Los Angeles at that time. Like, when he was growing up, it was in the death row era. So like Snoop and Dre, and when Tupac got down with people, like, that was monumental. He was watching these larger than life, the biggest that rap had ever been at that moment was those guys. Like, they took rap to another level, literally. Like, Dre and Snoop with the Chronic lifted hardcore street rap onto MTV Awards, pop charts in a way it really had not been up until that point. There were hits, there were big records, but the levels they were there. Yeah, for the hardcore, like uncut, no like saccharin, no marshmallow sauce, like just completely off the block. Like, Snoop and Dre broke through, and So that had to be, imagine how inspiring that was for a young man from Los Angeles, you know. So Nip wanted to do that. That's what he wanted to do.
So how did you I see you said you met him in 2009, so that's the year before he was on the double XL freshman list.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
I went to that. I did go to that concert. Just gotta throw that out there.
Did you?
Yes, I did go to that concert at the Highline Ballroom in New York City.
Yeah.
So, first time I saw.
That was a crazy lineup. Did everybody show up?
I believe J. Cole didn't show up. I think he was on that list too, and Wiz Khalifa didn't show up.
Big Sean?
Big Sean was there. Yeah, Big Sean was there. I'll tell you who was there. I'll tell you who was there. Big Sean, Nipsey, J-Rock, Freddie Gibbs.
That's a nice team right there.
Yeah, it was except Big Sean. Who else am I missing? I'm missing some other people. But
Pill there?
You said who?
Pill?
Yeah, I think he was on there. I think he was on there too. I think he was in that class too. But you know, that was back then. But I've been to like 3-4 Nipsey Hussle concerts, you know, in my lifetime. But
that was great. What was the last Nip show that you saw live?
Somewhere, I think it was in the city with my boy Zine, but we snuck in. We definitely, like, he's where you know how the city is, New York. You know how it is, man. You know someone, you do a little talking, you get in, whatever. So we were able to get in. I don't remember exactly what location, but I know it was like a collabo. It was somebody from New York that brought him out here to do like perform or something like that. I don't remember exactly who or where, but that was the last time I saw him perform. Yeah, so but I was bumping him back in 2008, you know, when like he's Bullets Ain't Got No Name Volume 2. That's when I got onto his music. And you know, friends would come back from college, like, what are you listening to? Like, yo, bro, there's this guy from the West Coast named Nipsey, man. This guy's gonna be a problem, like I'm telling you. And everybody would listen, and then they would start falling in love, you know, like, oh yeah, man, like, yeah, he's dope, like, you know. So what was it like when you met him the first time in 2009? You said you met him at the Vibe office, or?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, because you're talking about the same project that was my first impression also. Like,
okay,
the song I remember is the Dre Jackin' for Beats, which is actually Volume 1.
I love that song.
Man, I mean, you can't play around with Gin and Juice. Like, that track, you can't just like come out and just say that. Like, that's a bold move in itself, to be from LA and go over Gin and Juice. And he was it was very refreshing at that moment. Like, remember, this is a time when it was all like,
oh wait, hold on, we've lost Rob Kenner. Hit that like button. Let me call Rob. This thing, did his computer die? Hold on. All right, there we go.
all right, cool.
There we go. Hold on, my fault. I didn't mean to hang up. I didn't mean to hang up on you, Rob.
No, I figured
you dropped out for a second.
No, yeah, it's a little like inclement weather. So I was saying, at the time it was all rap. This is 2009, so hip hop was like teach me how to Dougie and do the stanky thing, and it was that time, you know. So to hear like some real hardcore West Coast shit was very refreshing. And also at that moment, you know, I was having flashbacks to our first Snoop cover in '93. Like, we did the Bow Wow Wow cover when Snoop was about to drop Doggy Style.
Let's go into that. I want you to talk about that Snoop story, and I would like you to tell me, you know, the creating of, you know, Vibe, you know, at the beginning. I was going to ask you, how did you get into writing? Did you always want to be a writer?
Yeah.
What was your journey? What was your journey into writing? Obviously, you know, you're a Caucasian guy, but you're writing about all this hip hop stuff, like, so.
Yeah. I mean, I always wanted to be a writer. I grew up loving music and reading, you know, and my dad was an English professor. My sister turned me on to LL Cool J. My little sister was playing that. I was into like other kind of like rock and roll and shit. But my little sister was very into rap, and she was playing me cassettes. She was really into Quincy Jones, even like Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson and whatever. And weirdly enough, Quincy Jones launched a magazine. You know, after I got out of college, I came to New York. I was trying to get down with Rolling Stone. That was the only thought I had, is like, that's the music magazine. I want to write stories about music. Mm-hmm. And I actually had an interview with Jan Wenner, who was the founder of Rolling Stone. Sat down with him, and he just wanted to tell me about other lifestyle magazines they were publishing, like Men's Journal and stuff like that. And I just wasn't interested, and I thanked him politely. But Rolling Stone never offered me a job, but I was working at an art magazine during the week, and on the weekends I was working in a reggae record shop and just like basically building my crates, and was DJing in clubs in New York. This is like late 80s. And after that, you know, I read about Quincy Jones launching a new magazine about hip hop, and it was going to be all aspects of hip hop, all the, you know, the roots to the fruits, the whole culture. And I just like, I think that I should be a part of that. So I started bombarding them. The editor was listed in the article, and I just started sending him a letter. This is a letter with a stamp on it every week, you know, until I got a response. And I wrote a story about Supercat, who was, you know, still is one of my favorite dancehall artists. You know, he has,
and he's actually in Long Island. He's been spotted in Long Island. Supercat, you know, the streets them hot. I know. That's my guy right there. Okay.
Yeah. Wait them day when they get to red hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cat is, to me, still one of the most, you know, iconic artists in any, you know, genre of music. And he gave me my opportunity to get down with Vibe. I got a story off in the first test issue, 92. Okay. A year later, the magazine got the official green light to start on a monthly basis, and they offered me a job to come on board, and I quit my art magazine thing, and on the spot. At that point, I was editor-in-chief of this art magazine, but I was like, no, I got to do this. And so I was there from the startup, from the very first issue, and that first issue was supposed to be, the plan is a weird story, actually. The Snoop was the first magazine cover that Vibe put out after that test issue. It was almost going to be Janet Jackson, and Jackson's label was offering us a cover image, but we had to just take their shot, and we couldn't decide if we liked it or not. We just had to commit, like, we're doing a Janet cover, and they just sent us the photo, and we're like, fuck that. Yeah. So the photo that they sent turned into one of the most iconic Rolling Stone covers. You know, the one where somebody's got the hands over her boobs.
Yeah.
That was the cover that would have been the first cover of Vibe.
Wow.
We was like, nah, we're not going for just give us the record label.
Did you guys regret that later on, or?
I don't regret it at all. I mean, I think it's wild that it became such a famous cover, but I think it was better to do Snoop at that moment, honestly. I mean, it was a hot cover that Rolling Stone got, but that's just like playing the industry PR game. You know, you can't always do what the label wants you to do. And even though that image is amazing, I like the one that Rap Pages did where Old Dirty Bastard, like, you know, a remix of it. I don't know if you remember that, but Rap Pages did an Old Dirty Bastard cover where he was the guy with the hands on like a model's boobs.
Okay, that's fire.
Yeah, Brett Rollins and the crew at Rap Pages did the hip hop version of that. So, but no, Vibe was about the new, and that was like these little creative decisions lead to the whole identity of the magazine, and it was about the hottest new street shit at that moment. And Kevin Powell went out to LA and interviewed Snoop, and you know, in that first issue, we did the first interview with Puffy, photographed him like a star. He was an A&R at Uptown.
That's the one. Is that the one where he's like in the office?
This is the one where he's the picture. There is a picture of him and Andre, I think, in the office, but photos, I remember we shot him like a rap star. Like, we shot him with his shirt off in Timbs and jeans, and I think he had on some Calvin Klein briefs, and he, you know, he didn't have the Sean John line going or anything, but that was because I remember the first editorial meeting, Scott Polson Bryant, one of our staff writers, he was like, you know, hip hop audience is different. They don't want to just see the star. They want to know who shot the video, who produced the record, who A&R the project. And there's an up records Puffy. We should do something on him. And, you know, as that story was going to press, he got fired by Andre Harrell because it was just getting too much. Like the Bad Boy movement was starting to build and it hadn't even been launched yet. But I think his internship turned head of A&R turned, you know, phenomenon. Like, you know, the boss of Uptown had to just say, look, if you're doing your own thing, just go do your own thing. And so that happened. We were working on that first issue.
So yeah, 19 years of Vibe. You remember the Snoop Dogg rollout cover, and you dropped an exclusive story about the Rolling Stone cover that was almost the Vibe. The Vibe cover, the first Vibe cover.
Yep.
So you know, so take us through the process, man. I mean, like, it seems like you like to do biographies. You've done a Tupac biography, you've done a Biggie biography. Now you're the first. I forgot to say that earlier in the introduction. The first person to do a biography on Nipsey Hussle. So we want to applaud you for that. Give you your flowers while you're here. So take us through the process, man. Like, you know, how was it? Like, you know, you passed away. I'm sure that played a role. I know you felt the way because you had a personal relationship. What was Nipsey like? I know he had a strong work ethic, you know, things like that. But you had a personal relationship. Talk about, you know, like how was the process of writing the book? You know, he passed away, and you know, like, how was your relationship with him and things like that? If you know, break that down.
You know, I should be clear that, you know, I'm not saying I was big friends with Nipsey Hussle. I'm a music journalist. I had opportunities to interview him and meet him in different moments in his career, and also, you know, observed his career closely because I had that strong impression from meeting him first in 2009. And like you, I was like, this guy's going to be a problem. Like, you know, after that meeting at the office when he played his music, I said to him, like, keep doing what you're doing. We're going to give you all the support we can. You know, his goal was to get one page in the magazine, and he got that one page just before the magazine folded because he had a better digital strategy, frankly, than Vibe at that point had, you know. And
it was, the game was changing.
Yeah, it's just, you know, he was changing the game every moment. And as the music industry evolved, he was pushing it forward. But, you know, my process on this book is very different than the Tupac and Biggie projects that you mentioned. The Tupac book was basically a compilation of all the Vibe books. So various writers, various editors, but I edited most of the cover stories through that time. So, you know, I had a strong stamp on the Tupac book at Vibe. The Biggie book was me saying, you know, we should do a story. At that point, I had taken over Vibe Books, and so I had responsibility to come up with book projects that we were going to do. And I said, we should do a book on Biggie. And I reached out to Cheo Hodari Coker, who had done some important interviews with Big very early in his career and at the end almost of his life. And, you know, I just knew Cheo to be a dope writer. We worked well together. And so I wrote a proposal with him as the writer, and, you know, we collabed on that book. So he's the author, I was the editor. That book came out, it was optioned for the movie Notorious, if you've seen that.
I saw that too as well. I was gonna bring that up, but go ahead. Yes, that's right. Talk your talk, Rob. It was option for the movie. Yes, I did see that.
Cheo went on to write the screenplay for Notorious, you know.
Okay.
And at the time, he you know, he was actually a student at Stanford University when I started working with him, but he ended up, you know, relocating to LA, and his vision was, I'm going to be hip hop journalist turned Hollywood screenwriter. And we wrote that in his author bio in Unbelievable, the Biggie biography. And then it came true because after the book came out, he was hired to write the screenplay, what became a very, you know, important film for culture. It's basically, to me, it's the first hip hop biopic where it's like a real scripted story about an iconic figure in hip hop. And that was before Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, that's Notorious.
You know, and there should be many more of those kind of films because hip hop obviously is the most powerful form of music in the world now. It's the biggest part of pop culture. It's a language. It's everything, you know, in the world today for youth. But yeah, so
you said it was different. So you said it was different on this biography. You about to do that.
This is my book. I wrote this book. It wasn't working for Vibe. It wasn't a compilation of articles. It wasn't working with another writer that I brought in and edited. You know, I have written other things, but this is the first like major project which I've undertaken all on my own. The reason that I did it is, you know, I realized when I sat down with Nip the last time, which was Victory Lap rollout, you know, in 2000, just a few days after the album dropped, he came up to the publication where I was working at the time. I was at Mass Appeal. I said, you know, we have to get Nipsey in. We have to do an interview with him. He's so important. And, you know, eventually I convinced everybody that that's what we should do. He came through very early in the morning. It's the earliest any rapper has booked an interview. Super early. And he actually showed up earlier than scheduled, drank his green tea, got ready, and we did this interview. We spoke for an hour, and it was so mind-blowing that I was like, first of all, we can't just do a 5-minute YouTube video off this. Like, this is so much more than that. And I just realized, like, this story has to be told in full. It has to be told in depth. And, you know, reflecting, I realized there really weren't any decent magazine profiles even of Nipsey Hussle. Like, he was so under the radar, with the exception of the GQ piece that came out later.
Lauren London, yeah,
California Love. That was a great piece, you know. But normally, an artist of his importance would have had many covers in magazines. Like the XXL Freshman thing is just a few paragraphs, really. You know,
yeah.
He had a lot of you know, video interviews, like hundreds, but he never got those like real journalistic, like in-depth profiles. And so I just started to realize that as a music journalist, like I had a responsibility to put this story down. So at first I thought it's either a documentary or a book. And it soon became clear, like, you know, documentary requires you to spend a lot of time getting a crew together and budgets. And, you know, so I just thought, let me just get the info. Let me reach out to the people that collab with him, people that knew him, you know, and I started putting it together. And, you know, as you mentioned, March 31st came along, and that was a huge shock to myself, the whole world, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, I gave the whole project even more urgency after a while. I realized, wow, you know, the world is starting to understand who this man is and
what he was doing, what he was about.
Exactly, yeah. So, you know, it was 3 years in total putting it all together. And, you know, the last year finishing it during 2020 with the crazy shit going on in the world.
Yeah, the COVID and everything, pandemic and just some people call it bandemic, but you know, pandemic, whichever one you want to call it, but you know.
No, but it was also the you know, George Floyd and you know, Adam Toledo and, you know, so many people that, you know, just the whole country, Donald Trump and the Proud Boys rushing the Capitol building, you know.
Country. That was on my birthday, by the way, January 6th.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah. So now I've lived a historical moment through life on my birthday, which is it will go down in the history books and the textbooks. So yes, it really was a crazy year. It was a crazy year.
So it felt like, you know, the message that Nip Hussle was presenting, like, was even more urgent, like, as time went on. And I you know, I think that's a part of the reason why people have been so interested in this book, is that, you know, we want to hear a story about someone who overcame these incredible odds and someone who was fully dedicated to uplifting himself and his community through positive works, turning negative into positive and uniting people instead of dividing them, and, you know, all of that. And I think, you know, a lot of people that I've spoken to that picked the book up were not even tapped in like you and listening, going to shows. Like, they were like, who is this person? Why did the Staples Center have 21,000 people turn out to pay homage to him? And
I actually was, no, that wasn't for him. I was there. I was in Cali when Kobe passed away, and then they had the funeral. I was leaving to go back to New York, and they had the Staples Center in like purple and gold. I saw it like driving by. Yeah, so yeah, that's big, man. You know, a lot of people, gone too early, of course.
Right.
It's gone too, it's a tragedy. Of course, people were blowing my phone up like, yo, Nip got shot. Like I was telling all my friends that I put on, like they knew my love for Nip, like people were like, that was a crazy day, hitting my phone, like, yo, Nip got shot, bro. But I guess it's kind of how you guys felt when Pac got shot. Like, oh, he'll make it through. He'll make it through, like he'll be all right. He's Nip. And unfortunately, it didn't end up like that. But I see that in the book he talks about Tupac. Tupac was one of his favorite rappers. He actually performed for some of Tupac's family and stuff like that. And in writing about both these, iconic artists, what are some comparisons that you might have seen in their lives, or some things, some characteristics they might have shared together? Some or same,
Right,
like,
right.
you see me? Or
Well, it's definitely a question that I asked Nipsey because, he has a line on the record, Dedication, where he says, Tupac, my generation.
mm-hmm.
And, that's a big statement to make. So as a journalist, I had to ask him what was the thought process there? Like, that's a big statement. Tupac means lots of things to different people. He's a complex individual. And Nipsey's reply was, I know that's a big statement. And his explanation was that he considered Tupac a Trojan horse for the streets. That's what he called him. As someone who had more inside him that first met the eye,
Yeah.
And the thug life image did not capture the full, potential or intentions of Tupac Shakur. So Nip said that he could relate to that feeling, that sometimes in our culture, he said, street culture,
Mm-hmm.
being intelligent can be viewed as a form of weakness. And
Yeah.
sometimes you try to dumb it down just to include everybody that you want to fuck with your movement, or, not to turn people off or whatever. So he felt that Tupac and himself had that in common. And I think there is some truth to that just from things that I am aware of, that, the average, like, casual rap fan wouldn't know that Tupac was so into, like, Shakespeare and acting
Yeah.
at art school in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And,
Mm-hmm.
wrote poetry and,
And Nip wrote poetry too.
yep.
Oh man, I wrote down the page. Did I? Because there was. I wanted to know page 62.
Okay.
I want to read the poem real quick, and I want you to. I mean, I don't know who told you this or who sent it to you, but maybe you could explain a little bit.
Sure,
So
sure.
Nipsey did poetry too. This is page 62. You are burning through the day. Oh, see, they hear me read out loud now, but I don't do this. I won't be doing this when I'm not reading videos, bro. I'm just joking. You are burning through the day as I run. You follow me. You are all over as I cry out for help. I am struck by the light. Not a soul responds to my cry.
Yeah.
He likes to write poetry too as well. So
yeah, that's an assignment he wrote in school.
mm-hmm.
It was published in a school, like, student publication, and after his passing, one of his classmates figured out, oh, this guy Nipsey Hussle was my classmate Herman.
Yes.
From school, and he was always really cool and kind of quiet. And anyway, so that student actually shared the essays on social media.
Okay.
And at first people were like, that's bullshit. He didn't really be making that up. And then he, like, proved it. He showed the receipts. He had, like,
Okay.
So he was just, like, someone who crossed paths with this young man not knowing. But this was at a time, it's an interesting part of the book too, talking about the Trojan horse and, like,
Mm-hmm.
perception versus reality. Nipsey was not offered the gifted and talented program at the school. Like, they didn't test him for that reason.
And his mom came up there.
Yeah, but his mom was like, fuck that, test my son.
Mm-hmm.
She went and talked to the teacher, said, test my son. And of course he scored off the charts. And, but he was a very creative, artistic person from early. And that was haunting.
Do you think so you think him and Pac had any similarities, or Even
For
him and
sure.
Big, or even him and Big, like people. Those are the in the rap culture. Those are iconic rappers.
Yeah.
Even though these young kids will tell you, oh, they don't know Tupac and Biggie, but those who know the culture and know how iconic they were to the culture,
Right.
like, what is do you think you said yeah, they have some similarities. So I
Yeah.
mean,
I think that, as much inspiration as Aramis Ascadome, Nipsey Hussle drew from Tupac from an
hmm
early age. He bought Machiavelli album
hmm
out, and he loved hip hop in general. So I think he was strongly influenced by Tupac Shakur. But in some ways, as I said in the book, like I spoke with Idi Amin, who was, Tupac's childhood friend and
yeah,
one of the Outlaw Immortals, and
hmm
he said that they had a lot of similar goals in terms of things that they wanted to change in the world and ways they want to motivate, their people and stuff. Just that, Nip had more time on Earth to put it in practice, and that was a big difference. But there's an interview where Tupac said, "I may not change the world, but I guarantee that I'm going to spark the brain of the person who does." And
hmm
I think without a doubt that young Aramis Ascadome was one of those people whose mind was sparked by Tupac and the things that he was rapping about and the ways that he was standing up and resisting. I mean, he was part of Black Panther legacy. His mom,
yeah, parents, yeah,
so he was born into that whole movement. And on the last record we heard from Nipsey Hussle, what it feels like with him and Jay-Z, Nip describes himself as young Malcolm, and he wore the Malcolm piece around
yeah,
most of
yeah,
his.
the Malcolm X chain. Everybody had like Jesus heads and pieces, but I remember that's like the 08, 09, 2000. He always kept it though. That's one thing. He always did keep that Malcolm X chain that he had with Malcolm thinking like lean like this.
Yep.
I want to ask you, talking about designs. The front book of the cover, bro, is fire. Who designed it? Did you design it yourself or?
It's so funny. I had nothing to do with the design. It was designed by the art director at Atria, and I don't even
Okay.
know her name. I never met the designer, but the wildest part about it is I did say that I liked, the hand lettering font that they use. I think
Uh-huh.
it was actually designed custom for the cover, but it's really similar to my own handwriting. So when I sign the books, it looks like the same hand. It looks like I drew the title, but it's really, yeah, I like the
You
title.
gotta let me know when your next book signing is. Actually, I'm gonna take you out. We gotta go get some drinks now that the city's opening up. I don't know if if you drink stuff like that, but I'm definitely gonna take you out, man. Come get my book signed and stuff like that. But that's that's for later on. But
No, no.
what you gonna call it though? I was gonna say yeah. So you said the process was different. I guess it makes sense because he passed away, you know, and all other ones who passed away too, but this one was just like gone too soon, like in all the cases. But people always, I guess it's like you said, the Trojan horse. Like nobody thought Nipsey could you know be taken down, or
I think people just underestimated his brilliance too. That's the thing why the book had to be written. He was the most slept on as an artist and also just the most misunderstood as a human. Like the things that he was doing, he never wanted to be the most famous or the most talked about by the world. He just wanted to be excellent and effective and like
and
connect
help
with
and
people
help out
who fuck with him.
and help out
Yeah,
reputational wealth.
people who fuck with him, like fuck
How
with
was
him.
your last interview? With you said you spoke on it briefly. How did that last interview go when you said that you saw him the last time? How was that? Like,
It was mind blowing. That is really the moment when I realized that I had to do this book. It was like a over an hour conversation, and I walked out of there. You interview people, right? So you know that every interview is different, but there was this something about this conversation where he changed the way I thought about even my own life. And I think I'm not the only one who had that kind of experience. People who spoke with him often say like he just sparked their brain differently. One of
hmm
the things I remember he said is that the rules of the game were not written by artists and creators. They were written by business people that wanted to get in there and extract the maximum value.
Profit.
Yeah, from that transaction, which is between the people that love the music or love the art and the people who create it. And the assumption, I guess, is that artists are just going to do it because they have to. It's just their passion, and they just do it. And the
They have
people,
to, yeah.
yeah, and the people love it. And so, if you can get in between there and just like cash in on that transaction, you can get wealthy. And that's basically what record labels have done. It's what corporate mindset people do. But that's why Nipsey had this thing called "fuck the middleman," and
Yeah. All money in, fuck the middleman.
Yeah, and like by all money in, that's the same concept. It's like we're not gonna allow other people to, get in there and like exploit the transaction between the fans and the creation of the music. And it's a model that has been emulated by a lot of artists now. I think more and more we're seeing people question, the traditional ways of doing business and look at it different. So
I love when he used that Steve Jobs sample. Always stay curious. Always ask questions. I think that kind of sums up Nip too in a way of from building the computer to even in the beginning of the book you talk about when he was 11 when he wanted school, like he needed school clothes, and his mom didn't really have it, so he went to Taco Bell like 10 12 times. They told him no. Then he ended up getting a job at the shoe spot, and then he started selling like his little snacks, and they said he's making like 600 and asking people to bring him to the outlet. So as you see a story from a young kid, that you see he had ambition and that he had a vision, I would say.
Always. And he always wrote his goals down and then updated the goals as he accomplished them. It was,
I told you, bro. You see this little day? I told you. It's a serious business. So, but that's a fact. That's super dope, man. So my brother wanted me to ask you this. So this is for you, bro. The bestseller, Rob Kenner's gonna answer it for you.
All right.
He wants to know what made you said that he wasn't getting the shine, but my brother wanted to know what characteristics stood out to you about him that made you want to write the book, or made you want to you said you had to do it, but what characteristics stood out to you that made you want to do it?
I think it was his generosity, and the fact that unlike a lot of other people that I noticed that were doing very visionary moves, as an artist, but also as a businessman, it seemed like Nipsey Hussle made a point of showing his process in all of his music, in all of his interviews. He wanted people to emulate what he was doing. He wanted to show how he got where he was going, and the fact that he, as he put it, he took the stairs. He didn't hop on the elevator and go the corporate route. So he did it the hard way to control it. And he wanted everyone that fucked with him to know that, right? He wanted to share that info. And so that was actually the last question I asked him in our final interview. It wasn't really a question, but I said, I noticed what I just said. I noticed that you share the insights in everything you do, and it seems like you would like people to emulate you or follow in your footsteps. And he said to me, I'm not outside handing out bags of money, but the game is free, and if we, as young people coming up, that's all we ever expected the OGs was like, give us a little game, not to tell us all your secrets.
Help us out.
Yeah, give us a little direction, just show how it could go for us and what we could do. And if you're secure in your own ability to hustle, you don't have to be threatened by us as youths that want to, follow some of your footsteps, and so if you don't give them the game, it's almost like you're hating on the young aspiring people. So that was how Nip saw it. And I thought about that a lot. Like, shouldn't someone pay that forward? Like, so that's what I've tried to do in this book is, take the things that were sparking me, because literally the interview that day changed the way I think about a lot of things. Like his
insight that he gave you, his advice.
Yeah, and it's not like, I haven't learned a lot of different things from music and conversations I've had, but there was something very powerful and concentrated about Nipsey's thought process. And think about it, like this was his debut album. Victory Lap was the first album he ever did with a major label.
Yeah.
He only did it after he had put out so much work.
Yeah, from the Bullets Ain't Got No Name series, to the marathon mixtapes, to
Crenshaw,
Crenshaw, yeah. The marathon is the one that got me through accounting in Nassau Community College. Like
really
late nights studying, playing that marathon album, you know. So like inspirational, like, you know. One thing I noticed about Nipsey is he reads, and I do want to thank you for showing my show, the reading show, some love, because what I do is, like I said, I just try to spark people, man. Check out the book if you want, and you know, as soon as I got the book, I actually did that video, bro. I'll give you the story on that one, since you know it's your book.
Yeah.
I went out the night before with some friends, you know, starting to get open up again in New York, things, you know, whatever. I got a little too nice, and I ended up staying in my mom's house.
Okay.
And I had the book with me though, because that's when you posted the video of me with my friends on the block, and they were playing like the Nipsey in the back or whatever.
Yeah.
So like I ended up staying at my mom's house that night. 'Cause I didn't drive back to where I was, you know, had to go, or at that time, whatever. But I went to my mom's house, and then I woke up at like 6 o'clock, and I said, "Yo, it's perfect. It's like the morning. I got the book, I got the webcam, I got the laptop. Went out there, roll the spliff, you know, and got to it, man. And you know, a lot of people think that you can't reach out to people, but all it takes, like Nipsey says, is just the hard work and the ethic, man. I reached out to you through Instagram, and then you know, I showed you the video. You happen to like it, and now we're here, and I do appreciate you for that, and I do appreciate you for seeing the vision. It means a lot from a New York Times bestseller, man, 19 years of Vibe, to see the vision, and I do appreciate that too as well. I do want to say that. So.
Well, I hope everybody's listening, because what you're saying is something even my dad told me when I was a kid, and he's an English professor, wrote about a lot of poets, and you know, and he had said the exact same thing. If you reach out to the people you admire, and don't come at them too hyped, just come at them from a place of respect and show that you fuck with their work and you understand what they're doing. They want to connect with people like that, you know. There's a lot of people that I've interviewed that haven't read the book, and I've had to, you know, they'll send me an email beforehand, like, people have interviewed me for this project, not all of them have read the book, and not all, you know.
See, Rob, we can't. You're New York's bestseller. You can't take those interviews. That's why I'm happy you came through on Lanskys Corner and you showed your plaque for the first time. That's, you know what I'm saying, that's an exclusive. But I would leave the interview, but like I said, I've been running around with the car and stuff, but I said, listen, if you're giving me the time today, I gotta respect it, and I gotta make sure I know what I'm talking about when I get up on here, and I can't lie to the man or just try to use him off his name. And that's what I'm trying to do with my journalism and what I'm doing with everything else, but I just want to keep it authentic. So that's what I like to do. And you know, I'm definitely reading the book, page 105. When I'm done, I will definitely text you, let you know. But you know,
I look forward to it. I honestly, you know, anybody that writes or makes a song or paints a picture, they want people to read it or listen to it or look at it, and you know, you hope that you spark something in people's mind. And you know, I can definitely say that Nipsey Hussle's music and the conversations that I've had directly with him, and also the ones that I've immersed myself in while researching this, and the people that I've spoken with, like you mentioned Dexter Brown.
Yeah.
Such a deep individual. You have a lot to look forward to in that chapter, because he.
If you could plug me in with Dexter Brown, no homo, pause, you know, not the plug in. But if you could, you know, make a connection for me, I would love to have him on the show too, to talk about you know, his relationship with Nip, and was watching the process and everything like that, you know. Because now you're my friend now. You're my first New York best time seller writer friend. So now we're friends now. You know what I'm saying? So
thank you, man. Well, listen, Lansky, I will put in a word with Dex. I don't know.
No. If you put in the word and it works, that's fine. I'm not, you know, expecting nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, hey, if you can, you can. That's it. That's all. But
that's one of the people I'm most proud of, seeing his voice come out in the book, because I had never even heard of him. And and I was beginning on this process. He is shouted out in the credits of the Crenshaw tape, but he hasn't really been part of any of the narrative about Nipsey's career. And the more I got to understand the role that he played, you're gonna see, like, you know,
it's monumental. Because it seems like already I'm just getting to the part where they're starting to meet him and he just met Gooch and stuff like that. So I can really tell. I could tell he was like a mentor or something. But like I said, I have to finish the book and then I'll be able to you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Dexter put the roof over the head of these young men at a time they didn't have access to a studio that they could just build in consistently. And, you know, Cuzzy and Gooch and Rallo, you know, and Rimpaw and, you know, and Ermias, who got the name Nipsey Hussle while he was working there at the Buttervision studio.
Gooch told him a story about Nipsey Russell.
Yep.
And his name Ermias means like what, God's rising, or
God will rise. Yeah.
God on the rise. So, you know, I always tell people, you know, God needed him more than us. You know, that's what I say, like, to all the fallen soldiers, like, hey, we all have a time, and you know, it's unfortunate going too early, but you know, maybe God needed him more than us at the time, you know, unfortunately.
Well, that's a meds for Memorial Day, man. I feel like you said something very powerful right there. And, you know, for everyone who's lost somebody, whether it's in the, you know, the battles, physical battles, mental battles, you know, the diseases running around the world, there's a lot of threats and stress, but, you know, just remember the good times, remember the essence of that person. And I believe personally that, like, the spirit of, you know, like those that we lost is still watching over us. And
yep, that's very true. And make them proud every moment. So before I think we hit everything right now. I'm very happy you came on the show. But before I let you go, or before we end, I do want to say, any crazy vibe stories, or any, besides, you know, you have a 19-year career, you wrote for the New York Times. Any crazy or any interesting moments, or classic moments you remember from the Vibe, because you are one of the co-founders?
I can say one that a lot of people don't know is there was a thing called the Vibe Award show. You remember that?
Yes, Rob. Do you mind if I spark?
I don't mind.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Because when you're talking to a bestseller, you got to be on your best behavior. Go ahead. So tell. I remember the Vibe Awards.
The second Vibe Awards, there was you know, they were all taped in LA. We had the Boom Shots Award, which was, shout out to Boom Shots. That's my reggae column that now is a platform. So the Boom Shots Awards, there, your Beanie Man, Elephant Man, Spragga Benz, you know, we're all in the building. And it was a crazy night, but the big award for the evening, G Unit performed, 50 and the gang were cool. They did This Is How We Do live. You know, there's a lot of crazy energy in the room. But the big award for the night was the Quincy Jones Lifetime Achievement Award. It was being presented to Dr. Dre, right? So Snoop is on stage with Q. Shout out to Quincy, the founder of Vibe, the OG. Bless me with a blurb.
Which Quincy? We're talking to the world. Which Quincy are you talking about? Because some people
Quincy Jones. A little record called Thriller. Michael Jackson, he produced that. You know, he was the band leader with you know, like Frank Sinatra, and you know, he's just legendary beyond legendary. You know, but anyway, he founded Vibe magazine. That's why Vibe existed. And, you know, at a certain point, Vibe got so successful they could have a nationally televised award show. So Quincy is on stage next to Snoop. Quincy had knee surgery, I believe, so he's on crutches, but he's there for the event, and they're introducing Dre. Come on up, the Lifetime Achievement Award winner. And just when Dre stands up from his table to walk to the stage, some dude was sent to bum rush him, like, you know, just sucker punched him.
Yeah.
As he's standing up. Do you know the story? Because it was
this is another Lanskys Corner exclusive. Thank you, Rob. Let's continue the story, please. Continue the story. Another exclusive.
He's sitting at a table with G Unit. He's sitting at a table with all his affiliates, you know, and that table just flipped over like you're flipping a quarter. You know, it was like a big banquet table.
Yeah.
like Golden Globe style. It wasn't rows of theater. It was like everybody had dinner tables.
Yeah, I know. It's like a wedding type of thing, like a wedding
Yeah,
setup. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I got you.
right. So just at that moment, the table flipped over and chaos broke out. And like it's been documented. I can say, Young Buck from G Unit, stabbed the dude that punched.
Oh, that's that incident. Okay.
Yeah. A whole bunch of stuff happened, and I guess they caught the guy, and whatever. But it was chaos in the room, and certain big artists that were supposed to perform ran and didn't ever perform, and But anyway, in the chaos, because this is a nervous moment. I'm not gonna lie. I was in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Snoop stood at the front of the stage and made sure that the crowd came to order. Snoop is the reason why the Vibe Awards were completed that day. He personally saved the Vibe Awards, and what he said was, you guys don't act like that at Dick Clark's award show. So don't disrespect Quincy's show.
Yeah.
This is something important. This is hip hop. We're doing this, to honor hip hop. And
you know Star and Buck Wall, right? Are you familiar with Star? Yes, I'm from the school of the hater. I did, it's my guy. He always told me when I used to do his morning show, you wouldn't do that to me. You wouldn't do that if I was a white guy in a suit. So that goes to the point.
Same argument. Argument. So Snoop was like, if y'all want trouble, we want trouble too. See us outside, But in here, Quincy is doing an award show. So just everybody take your seats, straighten out your napkins, smooth it out. We're going to finish this show. And sure enough, they flipped the table back over. Dre sat back down. Snoop and Q stood up on stage, and they did the whole thing again, introducing Dr. Dre. He came up, collected his award. And if you can find it, you might notice he's got like a little mark on his chin because he's just been punched. But
he's just been sucker punched.
Yeah.
At least he was a good sport. He still got up on the stage and got his award.
Yes.
So shout out to Dre for that. Shout out to Snoop.
I will never forget Snoop saving that show. And then he came out, and his performance was after that, and he did Drop It Like It's Hot. And he's like, if a sucker get an attitude, it was a very powerful performance, man, to say the least.
Okay.
So that's one that I would give you for Lanskys Corner exclusively. Thank you for having me on. The marathon stop, man.
Before you get out of here, any future projects we should be looking at, or any new book signings? Are you? You said you came to New York. Where are you originally from? Are you from New York?
I was born in California. I was born in Santa Barbara, California, and I came out to New York in the late '80s. So I've been here most of my life. But new projects. There's a lot of things that I'm thinking about, but I'm really still focused on rolling out the Marathon Don't Stop. It's only really been 2 months since it was published, and
it's doing great. Yeah. And I'm proud. I'm happy. I'm proud for you, man. I'm happy that I was able to get in contact with you. You're a real down to earth dude, man. You kept it real with me throughout the whole way, and you definitely did show support for the video, and you definitely told me keep going with that. So I appreciate you. Drinks on me, and I definitely need to get the book signed. I'm actually gonna get it laminated too as well.
I don't know how to laminate, but I'll sign. I got a Sharpie, so we can do that part.
Yeah, so definitely. But I appreciate having you, man. This is Rob Kenner, the author of The Marathon Don't Stop, Nipsey Hussle, the autobiography, New York bestseller, Vibe magazine, 19 years plus. Just like I said, world renowned, and we're glad he's the first writer that we've had on Lanskys Corner. So it looks like we're heading in the right direction. Rob, I want to thank you, man. I appreciate you. I'm going to end the broadcast. You can stay on for a second. I'll talk to you after. Just let me end this. Anybody you want to shout out, or anybody before you get out?
Shout out to the whole Boom Shots Massive. The Boom Shots radio show is coming soon on Sirius XM, Bob Marley's Tough Gone Radio. Shout out to Reshma B, Just Cool, Pup Daddy, the whole squad, Cooley Ranks. A lot of good things happening this year. It's all about, just making moves, creative people, taking control of the thing. And, shout out to Lanskys Corner. I appreciate the opportunity to have a real combo.
We love having you on the show, man. You'll be back again, bro. Definitely. And I'm going to stay posted, man. Oh, before I go, check out the new sponsor as well. Grow Wolf. Wolf.
Okay.
Grow Wolf mug. You talked about Nipsey liking tea. We do have a tea sponsor as well.
Wow.
Sip Trinity Tea. I just want to show this real quick. Listen, Rob, thank you, man. Hopefully one day you'll write a piece about me. You know what I'm saying? But appreciate you, man. And this has been a Lanskys Corner exclusive. We want to thank Rob for coming through, man. And go order your copy of the book. It's fire. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you go get that.
Awesome.
Make sure you go get that. It's written beautifully, and it's a good buy. So if you like to read, get out there and cop it. Reading is fundamental. Thank you, Rob. Let me end this live on them. Don't dip off on me though. Yeah, hold on.